Hey everyone, welcome back with another anime review. Now this is an anime that I recently finished, sometime last week I think it was. And this is an interesting anime. I kind of watched it because the second season is actually coming out later this year. Yeah, in the summer I think they're doing like a re-edit version, like 11-hour long episodes, but in the fall I think is when the second season is coming out. October 2014, yes. But anyway, this series came out back in 2012 and ended in 2013. In fact, it ran from October 12, 2012 to March 2nd, 2013 with a total of 22 episodes. Kind of an odd number for an anime. And most anime don't get 22 exactly, but whatever, it was still really good. And its name, of course, is Psycho-Pass. Now, what is it to say about Psycho-Pass? Well, Psycho-Pass has a very unique story attached to it, and when I explain it, if you haven't seen the series before, then, well, first off, why you're watching this video, but then you're going to see just how depressing that the world these characters live in actually is. So, the Psycho-Pass takes place in a rather futuristic world where people's psychopasses, which basically their psyches, are able to be read by these machines. These psychopath leaders, there's machines stationed all over Japan, as well as these guns that law enforcement or detectives use. I forget what the guns are called, but the guns can either paralyze them or completely destroy them, depending on how high their Shu reads. If it's over 300, then it's destroy them completely. Very few are at 0, though. Alright. And by doing this, well, if their psychopath is too high, which I don't know if they gave a limit number. I don't remember if they did, I don't remember what it was. But if their psychopath reaches too high, then they're basically labeled as latent criminals, arrested, and at that point their lives are basically over. So what this essentially means now is if you have too much depression or too much stress, which are natural things for every fucking human being, mind you, your life is basically over. Yeah, it's gotten pretty extreme in this series. Like, they really decided to crack down, but it's gotten pretty fucking extreme. Alright, and it made for a very engaging story. And the main character, contrary to known, is actually a female by the name of, oh god, I can't believe I don't remember her name. Anyway, she is the main protagonist of the series who, oddly enough, despite how much shit happens to her, doesn't really seem to get her psychopath up too high. Granted, you do kind of see her falling down into a downward spiral a little bit. Okay, it's Akane Shinomori. So, Akane's her name. Alright, yeah. A little bit you do, but not to the extent I would have liked to actually see. Now, I wouldn't call her a Mary Sue character because she does definitely have flaws. And towards the end of the series, especially when she finds out the truth behind the Sybil system, which is what this new system of cracking down on crime is called, the Sybil system, especially when she finds out the truth about the Sybil system, she despises it. She still wants to follow the laws and do what she's told, but she still despises the Sybil system and truly believes that one day the Sybil system will fall, especially if the public gets word of it, which is kind of weird that she wanted to catch Shogo Makishima than before the public got word of it. Because that's kind of what he wanted to do. Which, by the way, Shogo Makishima is the main villain. Oh my god, how do I talk about Shogo Makishima? Shogo Makishima is an amazing villain. Let's just put it that way. I honestly think that he's on the level of Light Yagami in terms of villain. Although Light Yagami kind of started out as you thought he was going to be the protagonist, but turned out later on to be the villain, but Shogo Makishima is obviously a villain straight from the get-go. But I honestly think he's on that level because he's very intelligent. He's able to manipulate so many people. I wouldn't really call him a master manipulator, because that would be on the level of, say, Lelouch V. Britannia from Code Geass, who was able to manipulate hundreds of people at once without them even seeing his face, and rarely using his own power for it. two that he had. But Shogo Makishima, I'd say he's better manipulator than Light, because Light only manipulated 3 people in the entirety of Death Note. You know, and they're each at different times. I'd say he's kind of on the level of an expert manipulator, because he does manipulate a lot of people. All of the other villains in the series are working for him. Like, you do see him occasionally throughout the first series, but he doesn't really play a major role till the second half, so I'd say once episode 11 hits, I think is when he really starts to be the center focus of the series in terms of being the villain of the series. But all of the other villains after that and before that are all working for him. So he's really the main card carrier of the entire goddamn series. And he's so intelligent. Like, there's another character named Shinya Kogami who's one of the enforcers. I guess I should talk about the enforcers first. Once someone's labeled as a latent criminal and arrested, they have the choice to be an enforcer, which is like basically a hunting dog. They're treated as hunting dogs for the detectives. They do whatever they have to do, whatever the detective says. They can't go anywhere outside of prison without, or these other designated areas, without a detective with, at least one detective with them. And there's like 4 main enforcers that we see throughout the course of the series. Alright. 3 guys and a female, so, and they've done some pretty shitty stuff in their life, but for the most part they seem to be pretty nice people. Although we do get into some of their dark sides and whatnot, for the most part they do seem to be pretty nice people. It's just that they were labeled as latent criminals, so their life's basically over, and they chose the path of the enforcers because that, what to them, was better than sitting around in prison rotting away for the rest of their lives, essentially. So yeah, but anyways though, those are the enforcers, and the main enforcer in the series is a guy named Shinya Kogami, who actually had a history during, I forget which case they called it, but it was a case in the past, that Kogami was on back when he was a detective, because he was actually a previous detective. And he had encounters with Shogo Makishima. Basically, it was the last case that Kogami ever had as a detective. It's the one that made you so high that it was basically irreversible. And because of that, he wants Makishima dead, and by the way, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this review, so yeah. By the end of the series, as I'm sure you all know, because if you're watching this review, you better have watched it, he succeeds. Like, and he's on the run, and obviously we know there's going to be season 2 now, so, you know, I'm sure, at least I really hope, that he'll show up in the season 2, because he was actually my favorite character in the series. I loved Shinya Kogami. And he was an interesting character because although he believed in Akane's values, he felt to himself that he had already come too far to turn back. And even in the last couple of episodes, it looked like he was going to do what Akane said. In the end, when Makishima incapacitated her, he went on and went and killed Makishima because he realized that Akane at that point couldn't stop him. And then he was basically rolled at the end of the series, and they have no clue where he's at right now. Other enforcers include, Tomoe Masaoka, who is the eldest enforcer of Unit 1, and is actually the father of a man named Zenoza, who's the head of the second, I believe, faction of the detectives, which is the one that Akane's with. You know, and I believe that Masaoka was also an enforcer, or a detective before becoming an enforcer, and for some reason they have last names. Different last names. I'm guessing that Zenoza just wanted to change his last name so it appeared that he's more distant from his father, and, you know, people who he didn't want to know wouldn't know, obviously. Alright, and at the end of the series, Zenoza himself actually ends up becoming a detective because he actually does go down pretty downward spiral. Not a major one, but a slight one, a minor one. So he actually ends up becoming an enforcer at the end of the series, placed under Akane, actually. And then there's Shusei Kagiri, who an enforcer and was placed as an enforcer. He was detected as a latent criminal at the age of 5. Yeah. And towards the end of the series, it appears that he's dead, and he was kind of shot. I assume that he's dead. Who knows? He might pop up again in Season 2, like in real time, not just flashbacks. Who knows? But at the moment, we're supposed to assume that he's dead, so I'm just going to say that he's dead. And there's Yaoi Kunizuka, who's the female enforcer that I talked about before. Oh, sorry, it was Unit 1 that they're in. Alright. She stays calm and collected most of the time, but before becoming an enforcer, she was actually in a band. And there was a dispute with another band that ended up making her have a downward spiral, and thus being detected as a latent criminal, and thus later on becoming an enforcer. And she's really some flashbacks we see of her. She seems to be really in love with her music, so much so that she's going crazy while in prison, not being able to play her guitar, which I thought was actually pretty funny. Sad, but funny at the same time. Alright, I want to apologize for the glare on here too. I have my window open right now, but so there's glare on the screen. Sorry about that. Anyways, though, I think that's pretty much all I'd say about all the characters, although I could talk about Shogo Makishima for hours. I mean, what else is there to say about him that hasn't already been said? Like I already said, he's an extremely brilliant villain. A genius. Who's able to manipulate every other fucking villain in the entire goddamn series. Single-handedly. Alright, all because he wanted to collapse the Sybil system. And the way he wanted to do this is by presenting it to the public, because no one in the public knew what the truth about the Sybil system, and anyone who found out about it were eliminated. Okay. He wanted the public to know about this so that the Sybil system would collapse. There would be a rebellion, and it would collapse, because people aren't too keen about being controlled by machines. Alright, just so you know. And then once that happened, he would have succeeded. And he was willing to kill anyone he had to in order to achieve his goal. That's how serious he was about it. Going as far as to killing one of Akane's best friends in episode 11, and the weird thing about Shogo Makishima is that the guns, again, I still don't remember what they're called, but the guns that they have won't work on him. For some reason, no matter what he does, his hue always stays at 0. And his psychopath does, and it's really weird, and I don't think we got a clear explanation of why. We got a little bit in the series, but I wish we got a bit of a better explanation as to exactly why. I think something was said about him being surrounded by so many people with extremely low psychopaths all the time, but I wish that was elaborated on a bit more, if you know what I mean. That's one of my few complaints about the series. This series develops characters so well. I mean, really, I think one of the worst development characters is the main protagonist herself, Akane. But Makishima gets really great character development. Dinoza gets really great character development. Yaoi gets a little bit of character development, she does. Shogo gets Makishima gets really great character development. Akane does get a little, especially towards the end, but I wish that she would have gotten more. I think the series would have been much more interesting if Akane would have slowly and progressively throughout the course of the series actually went on a bit of a downward spiral, and thus ended up almost becoming a latent criminal herself. It got so high that she was just barely not a latent criminal. It did still end up going up quite a bit, but not nearly as much as I would have liked it to. Okay. Because like I said before, she does towards the end of the series begin to disagree with Sybil a bit, but she still keeps her exact ideals, so she didn't really get any development in that aspect, only in her hatred for Sybil. And I wish this would have been delved into a lot more in the series, alright? Other than that, though, the characters were great. I still liked her character as much as I am kind of, complaining about it. I still liked her character, okay? So yeah, now let's talk about the animation. The animation was actually pretty good. Not some of the best I've seen by Production IG, because yes, the series was done by Production IG. It's not some of the best I've ever seen by them, but it's not some of the worst animation I've ever seen in anime either. I thought the animation was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, but it was still pretty good, and I really liked the art too, all the character designs, all the backgrounds looked really good. It was one of those series kind of similar to Death Note, where it looked really realistic in terms of the art. Now, you know, there's weird character designs and colorful hair and disproportionate figures or anything like that. The only thing is that the eyes are bigger than real eyes, I honestly think, but they're not nearly as big as normal anime eyes are. So it's one of those series similar to Death Note that looks very realistic in terms of anime, that is. You know, a lot more realistic than most anime looks in terms of the art. Okay. And I also really like the music too. I mean, the music inside the series wasn't anything incredibly memorable, but it was still really good in the moment. The second opening and ending was pretty good, but I really loved the first ending and the first opening. They were really unique. Like, you don't really see those kinds of songs being played very much in anime openings and endings, which is why I really liked them. Okay. So, that being said, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the series. So, do I recommend the series? Absolutely. I actually watched the series recently because I'm preparing for Season 2 coming out later this year. And I'm so glad that I watched this series. So, Season 2 coming out later this year. In 2015, apparently there's a movie that's going to be released, Psycho-Pass the movie, which I'm definitely psyched for as well. I'll check it out whether Season 2 is shit or not, which I don't see. Not shit, but you didn't know what I mean. Anyways, though, so I definitely recommend this series. It's a very unique series. The characters themselves are incredibly original, but the series itself is unique. It's very good, tension-filled, and I really enjoyed it, despite the few flaws that I did mention. So yes, but anyways, overall, I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.